It's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine. Let's get out of here. Aye.
Hey everybody, it's Brother Aaron from Got a Minute. We're outside, love the outdoors. You know, it's great out here. Love the summer. All right, this is one of those videos that it's not too exciting to do these videos because it's uncomfortable talking about some things that you know you gotta say, but you don't want to say it because you don't want to hurt people's feelings. You don't want to offend people. However, a loving thing to do is correct, give people feedback, give people a heads up, give people warning, direct people to maturity. And so before I get into that, just gonna say thank you for everybody that has been with me for like 5 years, sharing the videos, supporting, liking and commenting and all that stuff. I really appreciate it. Your support helps me just continue to do what I do and be strong for you guys. So I've been doing this for 5 years, and I've got 10 things that I want to talk about to bring maturity as we approach the Feast of Trumpets, some biblical things, some side things. And before I talk about this, some uncomfortable things, I just want to invite you to, I wrote this chart out last year. It's not really a chart, it's just a couple words, but put your emotions off on the shelf and put it over there. We're going to talk about some things, and there might be some things I'm going to say that might offend you, might hurt your feelings, but try and get the emotions out of it right now and put it over there, because I want you to grow in knowledge and wisdom. If you only think with emotions, you're going to have a hard time getting to the wisdom part and the knowledge part. So before we talk, put the emotions on the shelf, be ready for some stuff you don't want to hear, and but in hopes that we're going to mature and grow. I got a story to tell you before I get going. I've got a son, he's 13 years old, and a couple months ago, back in like February, him and his friends decided to take a bike and tie a wagon on the back of the bike and go down the hill. Well, they fell off the bike and the wagon, and he destroyed the back of his elbow, like really bad. And I had to nurse that thing, and we had to put so much ointment on it, and we were getting all these creams and lotions, and it was so painful for him, but it was so painful for me to have to help him through that process. Now, if I was there at that scene as a father, I would have said, buddy, that's not a good idea to tie a wagon to the back of your bike and go down the hill. It's going to be bad and you're going to get hurt. That's what I would have said as a responsible father. And an irresponsible father would have said, just go do whatever you want to do and I'll see you on the other side. So I kind of come to you guys with a bit of a father mentality here too, and I'm not your father, but I am somewhat of a leader in the Rapture community and a voice of reason. So I just want to come to you with a voice of reason as we approach the Feast of Trumpets. There's a lot of stuff out there that's like, wow, that is so unbiblical. I can't even believe a lot of YouTubers are even saying that. So here it is, Brother Aaron, wanting to grow and mature you as we wait for Jesus Christ. I cannot wait for that great day. And to remind you too, I've had a lot of rapture dates that have come and gone. I've speculated a lot of things. I've considered this, I considered that. At the beginning of my journey, I thought Feast of Trumpets was a good candidate, and things have changed a little bit. So anyway, without further ado, let's get into some of the ideas here. I got a list here. Before we get into it, there's a lot of, like I said, there's lots of YouTube videos out there, and just people, they make a claim and they've got no evidence, no biblical evidence at all for it. So we've got two hands, right? Look at your hands, make the claim, and then show the biblical evidence for your claim. It's so important, but it's so overlooked. And if somebody makes a claim on a video, you check the evidence and see if it's there. Claim evidence. We got to get away from just making claims and having no biblical evidence. Like, where's the evidence? Okay, so claim and evidence, crucial, so crucial. Okay, so point number one is be careful not to be too short-sighted that we can't see the forest through the trees. Speaking about trees, it's kind of windy right now. So in the Rapture community, I've been doing this for a while, people get so short-sighted that they don't see the bigger picture. They got their face zoomed into the tree, so they're so stuck on the next date right in front of their face that they don't look at the big biblical narrative, the big biblical story, the whole love story that Jesus has created from Genesis to the book of Revelation, through the whole Bible. It's all intertwined everywhere. And what people do, I don't blame them, but it's like, okay, give me a date within 2 weeks. I need a date within 2 weeks so I can have hope. I understand, but that's the wrong mentality. We want to mature and say, what is the love story written from the front to the beginning of the book, or the beginning to the end of the book? What is the bigger story? What's the bigger plan here? So the number one is, don't be too short-sighted that you're just looking for a rapture date every 2 weeks just because you want to get out of here. Look at the big picture. Be big-sighted. Instead of looking at the tree, step back and look at the forest. Get an aerial view of the whole thing. Okay, and that's just slow study, daily slow study. Point number 2, be careful with dreams and visions as a foundational thought. Okay, so dreams and visions are super cool, super encouraging. I watch them sometimes too, but that is not the foundation. This is the foundation. Dreams and visions are like icing on the cake, cherries on the cake, but they're not the foundation of the cake. So, and some of them could just simply be wrong. And so there's lots of people saying, oh, I got a dream that such and such, and God told me this, and God told me that. And it's possible, but it's also possible that it's incorrect. So whenever you see a dream or a vision, think of it as a claim. And then go to the Bible for the evidence. If there's no evidence to support the claim, be very, very careful with dreams and visions, okay? It's possible they're from the Lord, but just be super careful. They are not the foundation of everything. Okay, point number 3. The tribulation will not start without the rapture happening first. So some people that are kind of on the fence about believing in a pre-tribulation rapture or not will say, well, if we don't get out of here by such and such a date, that means the tribulation is going to start and we're going to go through it. The pre-tribulation rapture is all throughout the Bible. It's everywhere. It's in every pattern. It's in every circumstance. So don't think that, oh yeah, if the rapture doesn't happen by trumpets, then we're going to be in tribulation. I saw one guy say, oh yeah, the tribulation is going to start a month from now at the trumpets. And no, I so confidently believe that the rapture happens before the 7 years of tribulation. And if we're still here after Feast of Trumpets, it doesn't mean the tribulation has started. Okay? All right. Point number 4, which is kind of similar. Now, some people have different view on this, so this is more of just a personal thing, okay? My belief is we are there before the seals are open. So most people that believe in a pre-tribulation rapture are in that camp that I just said, but some pre-rapture or pre-tribulation rapture believers think that we're there, but we're going to be seeing some of those seals. So that's just a tomato thing. You figure out what you want to believe. Personally, it's my belief that we are there before the seals are open. Quite simply, why? Because we are the lampstands, represented in Revelation 1, 2, 3, and then the lampstands are lit in Revelation 4. So we're there in the throne room, Revelation 4, verse 5. Remember, it's an emerald color around the throne. Emerald is the 4th color in the rainbow, red, orange, yellow, green. The 4th feast is Pentecost. Like that a lot. But put Pentecost on the shelf just for a second. I believe we are the lampstands that are in the throne room. And then the seals are talked about in chapter 6. And Revelation 5, the Lamb opens the scroll. So he's getting ready to open the seals. So church is there in Revelation 4. Seals are being opened in 5 and 6, right? So anyway, I don't think that if there's no rapture coming soon, if the tribulation hasn't started and the seals haven't opened. So just be warned, don't be fearful about that. Okay, what's the next point here? Number 5. Okay. All right, I gotta say it again. All right, emotions on the side, okay? Emotions over there. The Feast of New Wine is a false, unbiblical teaching. And I know people are like, well, why do you care, Aaron? Because I'm only looking ahead. Again, going back to my first point, don't be so short-sighted to forget about this. This is so crucial to understand that the Feast of New Wine has no biblical support at all. And why do I care? because it's ruining the teaching of Pentecost, which is so beautiful and critical. And there is not one Bible verse anywhere in the Bible to support the Feast of New Wine. So as we go through this cycle, and we might go through this cycle again and go to next year and do all that again, be very careful to study this out. Think big. Don't think so small. Don't think about 2 weeks from now. Which brings me to the next point, number 6, the Feast of Oil. People are now talking about the Feast of Oil. The Feast of Oil is also a false, unbiblical teaching that is not supported by the Bible whatsoever. Now, some people are talking about that right now because it's the next thing on the list, but it's not in the Bible. And I know, put the emotions over there, right? Some people are like, how dare you talk about the Feast of Oil? Well, I know. Just careful with the emotions. Now, in Numbers 28, it says that, verse 5, Numbers 28, verse 5. This is the daily offerings, and it says 1/10 of an ephah of fine flour as a grain offering mixed with 1/4 of a hin of pressed oil. It is a regular burnt offering which was ordained at Mount Sinai for a sweet aroma, for an offering made by fire, and its drink offering shall be 1/4 of a hin for each lamb. So essentially, oil and wine, according to the Bible, here's the evidence, is brought every single day. Every single day, wine and oil were brought. There's no dedicated feast for oil and wine. It's just brought every day. That's what the Bible says, okay? So as you approach Feast of Oil, just know it's completely unbiblical. That's not in the Bible. And take a big breath in and out and be okay with that. And I don't have any problem with people looking at a rapture date, late August or whatever people are saying it is. Just know that it's just not a biblical feast, okay? Okay, point number 7, if you've made it past that, here's a big one. Big breath in, big breath out. Keep your emotions on the shelf, because this is going to hurt a lot of people's feelings. But I'm being a dad right now. I don't want you to get hurt. Okay, the Revelation 12 sign is not a thing. At least in my opinion. Okay, a lot of people say the Revelation 12 sign was Virgo with the sun and the moon and the stars and all that. But that's the claim. The claim is it's Virgo, but where is the biblical evidence? It's not there. So here's my claim. The woman in Revelation 12 is actually Israel, and the man-child is the church. And that's it. Well, let me show you the evidence now. Okay, Revelation, because the Bible explains itself. The Bible interprets the Bible. So it says that Revelation 12, now a great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and on her head a garland of 12 stars. All right, let's go back to Genesis 37. So we got the first book of the Bible and the last book of the Bible interpreting itself. Genesis 37, Joseph is having a dream. Verse 9, it says, then he dreamed still another dream and told it to his brothers and said, look, I have dreamed another dream, and this time the sun, the moon, and the 11 stars bowed down to me. So he told it to his father and his brothers, and his father rebuked him and said to him, what is this dream that you have dreamed? Shall I, your mother, and I, and your brothers indeed come down to bow down to the earth before you? So Joseph's father interprets his dream for him. He understands that he represents the sun, his wife is the moon, and the kids are the stars. So this woman in Revelation 12 is the exact same description as Genesis 37. Now you say, well, it's 11 stars. What's up with that? Well, because Joseph was the 12th. So the Bible interprets itself. Essentially, the woman was Israel, the male child is the church. I've done some other videos on that. I don't want to over-explain myself here. But just as a mature thing, as we walk into Trumpets, it's not an 8-year countdown from this, I'll say, so-called Revelation 12 sign. September 23rd, 2017. And people are saying, oh, 8 years since that. It's like 8 years of circumcision. No. So don't put your weight on that, because you can't biblically support that argument. However, let me just bring it back though. It's still possible that we're going to get raptured on Trumpets. I say a low percentage, still possible. But I say be extremely careful with this woman thing, this Virgo constellation thing, which is not biblically supported. Okay, don't hate me for that. Okay, I love you guys. And if you think it is still, I still love you. I think you're still awesome. Okay, point number 8. No one knows the day or the hour. Okay, well, first of all, this verse is not talking about the rapture. It's Matthew 24, verse 36. So there's that. Secondly, okay, let's pretend it's talking about the rapture, which it's not, but let's pretend that it is. People associate it with trumpets because they say, oh, because you got to wait for the slaver of the moon. No, we know when the Feast of Trumpets is. We can calculate it every single day, every single year. We know it's on the first day of the 7th month. So let's use the Bible to show the evidence. Here's the evidence now. Leviticus 23:23. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the children of Israel, saying, in the 7th month, on the first day of the month, you shall have a Sabbath rest, a memorial blowing of trumpets, a holy convocation. We know the Feast of Trumpets is the first day of the 7th month. It says it in the Bible. So to say that Feast of Trumpets is the day that no man knows the day or the hour, it's unbiblical to say that. That's not true. So first of all, it's not talking about the rapture, but second of all, it certainly isn't talking about Feast of Trumpets. We know the day. It's the first day of the 7th month. Now, if you were to use that phrase and tie it to a feast day, you would appropriately tie it to Pentecost. Why? Because Pentecost, according to the Bible, if you just go up to the chapter, it says you count 50 days and it's the day after the Sabbath. Well, it's not a fixed date on the calendar. So it is a day, technically, that you don't quite know because you have to do some math. You have to count 50 days from the Sunday after Passover. And every year, it'll fluctuate within that first week of Sivan. Pentecost will always be between the 6th and the 11th day of Sivan. It's always going to be in that second week, but it always fluctuates because of the Sabbath. So technically, that's the day that no one knows the day of the hour. But like I said, it's not even talking about the rapture anyway. So there you go. Just don't even use it with the rapture. But it's certainly not tied with trumpets is my main point. Okay, the next one is number 9. I've got Feast of Trumpets. Okay, is very likely going to be us coming back with him at his second coming in the flesh. That's very likely the full fulfillment of the second coming. Matthew 24, verse 31 says, he will send his angels with a great sound of trumpet, and they will gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. So notice, from one end of heaven to the other. We are the elect. We're already there because we've been raptured by that point. And this is talking about after the tribulation. So Matthew 24, verse, I think it's 29, it says, immediately after the tribulation, trumpets gathering from the four corners of heaven. He's gathering us from the four corners of heaven to come back with him at the trumpet. So I believe that the full fulfillment of trumpets, the real fulfillment of it, will be at the second coming when we come back with him at the Feast of Trumpets in whatever year that is. Okay, and then the last point here, number 10. Barely, I think this is not a good thing that people are saying, is people are saying that the first 4 feasts were fulfilled. Sorry, that's 4. First 4 were fulfilled, and then we're waiting for the next 3. Not so. The 4th feast was not fulfilled in the flesh by Christ. Christ did not fulfill Pentecost in the flesh. He's going to do that some way, in some shape or form, and I believe that's probably going to be the rapture. He died on the cross. Jesus Christ died on the cross, not the Holy Spirit in the flesh. It was Jesus Christ in the flesh who died on the cross. It was Jesus Christ, his actual physical body, that went into the tomb, and it was Jesus Christ, his physical body, that rose from the grave and touched the disciples. He fulfilled it in the flesh, and there's no doubt that he will fulfill the last fall feast in the flesh. I think he'll come on trumpets. He'll atone for the sins of Israel on atonement, and he'll tabernacle with humanity and on tabernacles in the flesh, physically in the flesh. So flesh spring feast, flesh fall feast, and we got this one in the middle that he intentionally left. He was not there on the flesh on Pentecost. So he didn't fulfill Pentecost in the flesh yet. So step back, think big, think really big. Think really, really, really big right now. So in order to do that, get rid of the emotions. Start studying Hebrew with me and stuff. If you want to join the Discord, jump in our study. It's so awesome. Links are below. But step back. See the bigger picture. Let's just pretend for a second, and I don't want to think this, but let's pretend it's going to be in 2040. Okay? Let's pretend the rapture is going to be in 2040 just for a second without our emotions. What day makes the most sense? So with that thinking, we're going to stop being so short-sighted and like looking at everything 2 weeks in advance and not looking at the big picture. Look at the big picture. What makes most sense? And try our best to get rid of our emotions and try our best to build our knowledge and our wisdom, because we are encouraged. And like my son, I say all these things not because I want to get you upset. That's the last thing I want to do, is get you upset or offended or hurt or discouraged. But just like my son, if I was there to say, don't ride down the hill with a bike and a wagon or else you're going to hurt yourself, I'm saying these things so you don't hurt yourself as well. So you don't get your hopes so high on a date and then it passes and you're like, oh, I wish somebody told me some of these things. So that's my concern. I just want you guys to be happy, healthy. I want you to have a good life. I want to get raptured just like you guys. I hope he comes so soon. I sincerely mean that. But I also want you to keep on keeping on and have a good life and still make reasonable choices in your life. And don't like bank on it being like now. Like it's possible it's going to be a while. I'm not quite sure. So hopefully some of these things resonated with you. Check out some of these things. And on this channel, we're walking in maturity as best we can. We're trying to have biblical claims and biblical evidence for why we believe what we believe here. I'm open to changing my mind. I'm open to correction. And I always want to grow in the Lord and learn and just get more and more closer to the truth as the days and weeks and months go. So thanks for listening to this rant. I know some of these points are probably hard to listen to. Love you guys very much. Hope to see you in the clouds very soon. And go Jesus, go.